Welcome, gang. You're not here yet, but we are. So we just pressed go live to get us going on a little catch up. This is episode 30. And oddly enough, I accidentally put up three notifications. I didn't realize in Riverside that every time I went in and saved, an updated version of the title or whatever, it makes a new notification when you're sitting here in the studio. So sorry about that, but we're live on one of them. I guess I should delete the rest. Huh?
Yes.
I got to figure out which one it is because that's how I'll stay up with our chat. I guess I should do some lighting too, huh?
Let me just put it on X.
Yeah,
Did you
figure
put
out
it
which
on the
one.
groups?
I haven't. I didn't put it in the Discord. I gave notice in the Discord, but I did not because we didn't pre-generate. So no, I have not done that.
Okay, I shared the one that we are actually live, so.
Sweet. So I'll go in here in my YouTube real quick. And do we want to add Rumble? I could add Rumble while we're
Yeah,
saying hey,
sure.
folks. So Rumble Studio, you should be receiving. All right, multitask time from Rumble Studio. We're going to shift over to YouTube Studio. Now, which one is, all right, refresh. Okay, 1 minute ago, I guess that's us now. So I need to delete that one.
Scribe is with us already. Hi, Scribe.
All right, let me get in and make sure I don't delete this one, right? Okay. What's up, dude? Thanks, man, for being here. Okay, so I'm trying to help audience confusion. I don't know how or why we got three extra notifications or three extra videos really loaded or scheduled here on episode 30. Sarah, I see you already there in the chat. You will appreciate that. We've been talking synchronicity all day. All right.
Well, that's why you find, like
Multitasking
the
complete.
the the message you sent me yesterday of the video that was on soon to come on YouTube. It wasn't me.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You had the same issue with Riverside. Yeah, that's what it is. I once I noticed it here a second ago. I assumed that's what it is because I went in to my socials, and y'all don't care about this, but when you're in Riverside and you haven't, planned everything out and created shit ahead of time, you're just in the studio and you can press go live. And I figured that's when it would generate the, thing. But apparently it's when you go in and title, hey, I want my YouTube,
yeah,
to
that's when it
play.
creates the
And
video.
it'll just
Yeah.
sit there and redo it every time. So apologies. Welcome. How's Sunday, everybody? This is my second time hollering at you. This is episode 30 of Finding Things Within and Without. We don't
30.
have much of a plan. I know, right? Right?
And even I was looking yesterday when I was creating the round table. It's like 27. It
I
means
know.
27 weeks.
I know. And that was our second show. you know? That was our second show. This was the third. And
37 weeks.
yeah. We're keeping a pace, aren't we, sir?
Yeah.
That's one thing I know, and that's kind of why we're here in front of you tonight, guys. I'm going to be hitting the road tomorrow, and Ricardo, how did you say it before when you messaged me? We were like, all right, we got to do something, but which platform? Ricardo's like, well, you haven't gone live on yours this week, have you? And I'm like, yeah, I did. And you're like, no, remember, we were planning on it, and we sat down here in this very studio. We were like, we're going to go live. And
At this time.
At this time. It's yesterday or the day before, right? And we're like, all right, we're going to get an episode of mine in, and we have our standard little 5 or 10 minute catch up, right? And then right at the end of that, when I'm like, all right, get my hair right, let's get ready to read, Ricardo's like, oh, and before I forget, let me mention. And then, I was like, all right, now that requires, I need more info now. And then 2 hours later, actually about 40 minutes into it, I paused this and I said, all right, listen, just we're not going live. I realized why we sat down, and it was not to go live. So just so we're on the same page. And he was like, "Oh yeah," and then we carried on for another hour, and we got done, y'all. And I was like, "God damn, dude, we should have been recording that. I know we couldn't have put it out, but there was a solid 5 or 10 minutes in there where we could have clipped into like gold, you know." We'd have just snipped it out of context. It'd have been Ricardo going, and then, under the rubble, 2.5 pound bag of cocaine. Cut. Jason going, and then, dude, the fucking bullets went through. They hit in the tree. Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, shit, they're trying to kill me. Cut to Ricardo going, and then I went to the boss and I told him, look, the bar, you're gonna give me the bar for all this fucking trouble I went through. Cut to Jason going, and then the feds, dude. I swear, the fucking feds made me talk about the Speedo, and then it was. That's all you get, guys.
There was that day.
Yeah, both of us ended the story with, yeah. So that was a day. And
Oh, thank you, Kay. I'm not sure who Kay is. It must be from your show, but welcome. And yes, amazing day, evening to you too. Thank you.
Let me get to our chat. Yes, most definitely. Welcome everybody. Thanks, Scribed. So Sarah and I chatted about what to call Scribed Jehudi because all his screen names are bounced all over the place, and I prefer Thoth because why wouldn't I? But Sarah and I decided that we'd ask his name, and he said we can call him Matt. I don't know if that's his name, but that's what we can call him per his words. So
Matt,
welcome,
okay.
Matt. Thank you, bro. Katie, 1, 2, 3. Good to see you. Jacqueline.
Jay and Sarah.
Quills.
Sarah finally entered the chat for me.
I
so haven't
see
seen
how
it
we're
yet.
rolling today. You couldn't make it to your own damn show, but you can make it to mine after
Oh,
I filled
Amy.
in for you. Did you have a nice vacation? Good. Now everybody that saw us earlier today knows I'm joking and knows that I'm able to joke. They may not know. Can I tell them?
That's my name, says Scribe.
We have a healthy report on the kitty. All are back home and well, so hence my joke about her vacation. So that was a great name. Thoth is trying to bullshit us and say his name is Matt. I don't. It's Thoth, Thoth, man, he created writing and he takes away our memory. And look at him now. He's already trying to rewrite who he actually is, It's Thoth. But if you request Matt, we'll roll with it, bro. But I'm not forgetting. I'm not.
Let me tell a little story about that. While I was in the States, I met this gentleman.
Can you? A little story? I
Yeah.
mean, don't lie to us. I don't mind the big
Little.
stories, but
It's little.
if you're calling it little.
It's a little story.
So there's only a quarter pound of cocaine at the end of this one. Okay.
No, there's no cocaine on this one. There is an asylum, but there is no cocaine.
It wasn't Ricardo's, y'all. He was doing business, and he's just a bold man, and he didn't know what was going on in the building, But he didn't know it was like mafia shit. But he was like, "I'm going to Owner, and you're gonna give me the space." And
I had nothing to do with the
he
cocaine.
had nothing. But if you'd have
Nothing.
taken it out of context, that's what I was doing. It's beautiful. But
It wasn't mine.
but he was an unknowing badass. Don't you like those stories, where somebody's just being themselves and they don't realize that they're just doing that to somebody that like kills people regularly, but they're letting them get away with it because, why wouldn't you? If Ricardo comes pointing at you, you're going to be like, all right, what? Okay, bro. Whoa, fuck. All right, those are a lot of facts. Whoa, okay, hang on. Whatever you need. Is copper, was it? Okay, got it. They sure did. They did have boats, yes.
Yes.
All right, now everybody has to have really been paying attention.
Today I remembered
Our
myself to
specialties.
press the button, but I can't because it's the different studio.
Yeah, just don't let me end it inappropriately today. It won't be good. I did put out far too many notifications on accident, inadvertently.
So this professor.
Old habits. Go ahead. I'm just trying to be better at chat. Go ahead. I'm
So
listening.
this professor, so a gentleman with probably 60 plus years at the time, he goes to do a presentation in the same building that there is an asylum.
Yeah.
And so he climbs the stairs, and he was informed. You climb the stairs, you find a desk, and people will be waiting for you and will tell you where to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because it was an asylum for the old insane, when he climbs the stairs and he goes to the desk, he turns to the lady because he. Well, I'm not going to say anything because one day you might see the show. Um,
Maybe
so
right now. Act that
and
way,
so he
Ricardo.
turns to the lady like with open chest, like, "Do
Trying
you
to figure out
know
how to
who
make
I
it bigger,
am?
Chad, so I can show you
Do
off.
you, do you know who I am?" And the lady looks at him and says, "Do you see that lady at the end of the hall that way? You go to her and she'll tell you who you are, okay?" She, sorry, it's my dry sense of humor.
No, I like it. I like it because it levels the playing field immediately, and that's what madness is
He says
very good for.
it was a lesson in humility for him.
Humility, yes, it
Yes.
levels the playing field. Okay, I think that's a better read for everybody at home. No, we weren't going to tell anyone, Sarah. It's just we were like, because we weren't sure. I literally just got home, and did you see that picture? Okay, so I was FaceTiming him like out in the yard with Jacob pooping, going, "All right, I made it. I think we can do one." So no, but we had to come see y'all because he pointed out that because of our impromptu meeting that we've been joking about, we did not actually get an episode of this out, and I'm committed to doing 3 a week, but I've roughly achieved that this week minus 2, so this at least gets us there. Only 2 away from the target this week.
You two can go to the lady at the end of the hall.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Dude, I know. Listen, her and I bake her cookies, dude. She used to bake me cookies, but then I was like, no, you got to fucking try my cookies. And I did. And then she wanted my recipe. And I was like, no, but I will bring them to you weekly. So, yeah, her and I are very close. She doesn't really know who she is either, just like the best of us. But to my point, because we're not here, to my point,
There used to be a me, but I had it surgically removed.
I surgically removed it. Had some help. Thankfully, somebody'd hold the mirror and kind of go, see right there. I'm like, oh, shit, okay, didn't see that part. Could you hold that steady? Another shot, please. Okay, thanks. To our point, I'll be hitting the road tomorrow, and we will be continuing with our reading. At least we'll get 2 episodes in, but one of those will be Shaman and Philosopher because we're trying to keep Stardust sort of there to the, in
So I can
Ricardo's
make a
book.
playlist, that's all.
Exactly. But I'm printing off a chapter tonight. So, and I'm taking the phone and I bought some wired headphones today, so I don't have to use Bluetooth. That'll go right into my phone, and we know the phone gives great picture and color. So we'll still be able to do that, but I will not really be able to get into my platform. So here we are, guys, basically with a plan of kind of saying hello and having a chat with you guys. Go ahead.
I'm counting for. We are planning to do the first live interview to a dolphin. So
I think yes, there can be live streaming, and then you could jump in there with me. But I can't really. The studio is very limited and all that shit, so I can't really like get in here on your mobile in Riverside. But on my end, but I can, stream live. So I'm sure there'll be some dolphin action.
You can go into any show for your phone.
We'll talk afterwards.
It's just clicking a link. I've done it
Is
with
it?
people.
No, I can go into, right. But what I meant is, as far as getting into my platform to do this show, it's funky on the mobile. No.
Yeah. The other way
Yeah.
around is complicated.
But you can just press go live, and boom, I'll be here sort of without all the fancy stuff and able to stream, yeah. But it won't be podcasting. But we will be on Shaman and Philosopher. At least twice. We got to do a DeSoto and a Stardust. And plus, go ahead.
And plus, go ahead.
No, the children are at the age now at the beach where there's a lot of, we don't kind of need you around, hairy man, after I establish they belong to me, and sort of make sure the whole environment, is aware of that. It's a lot of get away. So, there'll definitely be some readings taking place, bro.
Yeah, I think if those that don't understand that the guy going into the beach with a group of girls and the shotgun in his hand is something not to mess with, then they do have a problem.
No, no, just barefoot, hair down, looking, kind of tall and big freakish. At some point you put the hair up, so you got like that big native sort of flop going, and no matter the conditions, raining, sunny, seaweed, sharks, doesn't no matter the condition, you run in and attack that fucking ocean like you own it, right? And you go out like to the end of like 100 yards and just fucking la 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 la, and then you fucking come back in and everybody's just looking at you like you're either crazy or you know what you're doing. And yeah, you just set the
Come
vibe
back
for
in
everybody.
with a shark under your arm.
Yeah,
Still
either way.
wiggling, still wiggling.
They're not they're not going to mess with you. I can't speak for everybody. I'm not encouraging anybody, but I did live on the Gulf for a while, and I swim in all conditions, and I've body surfed with little sharks and manta rays in storms. I mean, it's nature, and whatever. It seems to me when you're approaching nature with a respect and an understanding, I don't go pick up poisonous snakes. You know what I mean? You don't see me handling them. But once I understand their environment and how they inhabit their environment and how they respond to me, right, then there's really no fear in any of these situations, once you establish that baseline, right? And to me, the ocean is the same as the creek, man. These creeks over here, dude, I can't tell you the stories I would used to have screamed at me when back in the day when people would ask me finally, okay, so where is your camp, Like right over there at Mortar Creek. They'd be, what? That's the Jason. That's everybody knows that's the worst snakes, and habitat there is in this area. I'm like, I know, but once you know how they work, right? And you know how to interact with nature instead of trying to domineer it and step on it, but to cohabitate with it, then, nature responds appropriately. That's all I mean. And it helps, too, when you've got daughters, at the beach, because dudes are dudes, man. So once you establish that, I can do something nobody else is doing, stay away from my kids, unless you've got balls and, if I see you walk up, then you've got to talk to me. And that's why they always tell you to go away, man. And then that's why you just simply slack off about 60 yards. Act like you're not looking.
I have a good friend of mine that he used to say, turn to the person and say, do you need your legs? So people tend to need them either to work or to walk. So they don't go further.
Right. Oh, now you're recalling a story I told you the other night, too. Gangrene will get them every time, y'all. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yes.
All right. Shh. We didn't press live for a reason. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so anyway, I'll be down at the coast and we'll be doing some lives and some readings. But the main thing is to get away with the girls for just a little bit. So if they are, wanting to do things together, then it'll be a blessing. But otherwise, stardust it is. So we have a semi plan tonight, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yep. How is everybody? Jacqueline, how's the cat? Like, jokes aside.
Oh, he's resting.
Sarah, quit talking about cocaine. Now Ricardo is going to get mad that I even brought it up. Why do I have to tell head of public relations to stop talking about cocaine in the chat? Do we need to address something at the next board meeting that I'm not? If you see something, say something, Ricardo.
No. Have nothing to do with it.
All right. Well, then we'll proceed with...
Just don't open the tanks of the flushers. That's just an advice.
Yeah, don't inadvertently own a bar in a mob's safe house is kind of the moral of that story. If I could give it to you without telling you the full details, that was Ricardo's experience over there in Europe. We'll keep it general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was just hilarious because it began with Ricardo just sort of being Ricardo and like relating what sounded like a cool real estate story at face
And,
value, you know.
and you know what is very synchronicious? Is that how we say it? Is that
Synchronous.
synchronous? Is that I went to the station here that is like, as the crow flies, probably a mile and a half,
Yeah.
and which is a very tiny train station. And I went to pick up my daughter, and there's this guy coming out of the train and into a car that I usually see the car there stopped when I go there, and the guy
Hey, Amy.
starts looking at me very serious, and I'm entering the car, and I said, what, why is this guy looking at me? And he says, are you Ricardo? And I said, yes. Oh, you don't remember me? No. I'm Vinicius. I'm the guy that bought the bar from you, remember? So he's now living here.
Did you tell him? You probably I shouldn't ask these questions. I really should.
Oh, I don't remember, honestly. That's so
Yeah.
many years ago, I don't remember.
Okay. Well, we'll just be glad that you got out without having to get beat in, as
Yeah.
they say.
He stayed there for 3 years. I didn't know. He had the bar for 3 years. Then they split.
See,
He's now
Ricardo,
an underground train driver or something like that.
I found out something in this meeting. I can tell everybody. I found out Ricardo is a liar. All right, he's just stone cold liar because he is always telling y'all that unless he has like an outside stimulus, he's got nothing to say, nothing up here, right? Tell him one story that alludes to something insane, and he's just oh well, this one time, bruh, and you're like, dying laughing, going, this is gold. What? What do you mean you don't have anything to say, dude?
One day I'll tell you the story when I was. So what do you call when a person is run over by a car?
Depends. Was the person intoxicated? Was it intentional? It could be vehicular manslaughter. It could be
No.
vehicular homicide.
No. Just the fact of the car hitting the person. Do you have a name for that? Because we do. It's called attrouplement, right?
Attrouplement.
Yeah. That's
That's exactly what it is.
I'll tell you this story one day.
We don't have one of those, do we? I don't want to misrepresent English speakers, but is there a singular English word for a car hitting a person? Thanks.
I don't know. So I was in the car,
Yeah.
and I was hit by a person running on the street.
Oh. So it was a reverse attrouplement.
With serious repercussions.
Yeah,
but
I can see the
I'll tell you
officer
that.
now going, likely story, Mr. Calvario, likely story.
No, they
The
didn't
walker
even took
walked into you, huh?
Yes, it was very serious. I'll tell you one day, but not for me. They didn't even wanted my documents.
Really?
Really.
Well, now, I jest, but I had something similar. You know the story I tell all the time about how I was at the bottom of the World Trade Centers, hours before they fell. And I was. And no, that's just clickbait that was used the other day. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with it, I was coming back from a road trip.
That's a bit suspicious for you to say.
I know, but I was like, this sounds funny. I was doing an interview on 9/11, and I was like, I won't even tell a story. I'll just say that truth, it was true. But I was coming back from a road trip, and I lived in the city at the time, and my roommate was coming back with me. We'd been to a wedding in Ohio, and we'd been back here to Alabama for a short time, just getting out the first time in a long time, got out of the city. Anyway, we're going back, and I don't know, it's like sometime about midnight, and we're getting through Jersey and deciding our route, home. And we're like, Lincoln Tunnel and all that shit. And it just pops in my mind. I was like, dude, have you ever seen the World Trade Centers? Like, at night when nobody's fucking there and you can go to the bottom and you can like look up and it's trippy, It's just a very hard to explain sensation. You're not used to being solid on the ground and sort of being able to have that vertical feel, right? And to me, especially being from Alabama, it was very unique, right? So at sometime around 1:30 or 2, after we get through the Lincoln Tunnel, like we veer down there in a rental. And this is the reason I started telling the story. I'll get to it. But anyway, so then we get down there and, it's nobody's there. It's like 2 in the morning and we hop out and we do that. And we have our little moment of, oh, that's awesome, and then we drive home and get to bed. Point is, when we first got the rental car and we were leaving the city, like a week or so earlier, like, dude, as soon as we, you see it now, hindsight, but as soon as we pulled out of the rental garage there in downtown Manhattan, it's like a parking garage, you're on the city street, and all the people start walking, and I didn't realize, but this homeless dude, like, jumped on the hood, but from my vantage point, because I was busy looking for traffic, it looked like I hit him. But I realized that he jumped out of the hood as soon as my roommate made the mistake of getting out with me, because he thought he was a badass, So, like, 'cause I get out to, like, go around and fucking see what's up, right? And somebody else comes walking up, like, ooh, I saw it, And I've been in the city long enough, I'm already clocking. Wait a minute. It's just orchestrated, right? I'm already in that hang on stance. But, fucking, I hate to talk bad about the dead, but I called him dumbass to his face, and he called me shithead. Doesn't matter. But he gets out, right? And is like trying to also, he reads it too. But he didn't read it good enough because he put all the cash in the glove box. And so when he got out, there was nobody in the passenger seat. And so when we got back in, after we had scared them off, we thought, yeah, cash was gone.
So it was a good plan.
It was, right? And that's why I was cursing him. I didn't in the moment, but I did shortly thereafter. It's like, man, why'd you have to get out, dude? I had it. No, you didn't. No, I had it. Thank you. I mean, I know your heart was in it, but your head. We got to talk about your head once in a while. It was more like that than a cursing. Like, can't get mad at a man that's trying to jump out and assist with making sure your life stays, in place. But yeah, I was mad because then all our money was gone. But we made it. I mean, always do. Money is really never the matter. Anyhow, that's kind of why we're
those lessons.
There's a lesson. That's today's podcasting. That's what Sarah and I ended up doing, was just kind of telling stories and getting a few lessons out of it. But we do have a tentative plan. I don't think we even need to hang out for maybe more than another hour, half hour. But you sent me, were they writings of yours or were they readings of somebody else's?
No, unfortunately, they are mine.
Oh, they're yours. Okay, because if they're yours, I feel good about pulling them up. If they were somebody else's, I was probably going to opt for us just chatting away another 15 minutes and saying goodnight. But since I know they're yours, I will. And they're little short readings, guys, that Ricardo sent us the other night when we thought we were going to go live. And just things of his that we could ruminate on for a moment. Okay, all right, everybody gets the titles first. Chat. All right, there's 3. Title alone. Let's see if we can decide, okay? 3 short readings by our guest, co-host, and brother here, Ricardo. All right, number 1, Good and Evil. Number 2, so we need a 1, 2, or 3 in the chat, all right? Number 2, Reality. Number 3, Morality. Number 1, Good and Evil. Number 2,
Number
Reality.
2 is just a small poem.
I was about to say. I was nearly came out of my mouth as well. They are short. But we can tackle, it's where the conversation might go is always the question mark quotient.
I placed the morality there because I think either one of those that we read, either the first or the second, it's a good segue into those other 2 texts. So.
Right. And it's on par. The genesis. There was a barely thought behind this, guys, but there was thought. The genesis was that when we're reading Stardust, which we're trying to, as we said, keep on the other platform, great conversation, and great points and salient points that at least audience members report they enjoy. So that's sort of what we thought we'd just tackle here in a little shorter format and hang out with you all for half an hour. So we've got one good and evil.
One is 1 page and the other is 2 pages.
2 is reality and 3 is morality.
Yeah, the reality is actually called What is Reality and Does It Matter?
Okay, but I've got the condensed PDF and it was much... Yeah. It seemed concise and simple and to the point, and it was like, oh, hell yeah, we can tackle the main ones in a page. Let's let them pick. So let me pull up chat here so I can see. Okay, so we've got 1 vote for 1, but you've probably read it. So I'm gonna take. We need 1 more vote. Okay, Tammy, what's up, Tammy Backyard Stones?
I don't have anything on the chat.
Catman, you're here. What's up, Christos? That's right. We've decided you're not Catman. You're Christos. Okay, so we need votes from Tammy or Christos. Again, here are your choices, guys. 1, 2, 3. Very short readings titled 1, Good and Evil. 2, Reality. 3, Morality. By Ricardo, for those of you that just showed up. And Jacqueline, you can be the tiebreaker if needed, because you probably have familiarity here. And
Riverside has fixed the up and down problem in a very effective way. That is, I can't go to the bottom posts because it doesn't scroll down to the bottom posts now.
Catman, welcome. Christos, this is who we mean by Christos. And hey, Tammy, Backyards, New York Stones, welcome. Okay, well, I see 2 votes. I see 2 ones. Okay. All right. Do we need a tiebreaker? Christos? Anybody? It's good and evil, is it? Okay. All right. I can read a room. We're just going straight to it, huh? All right. They want to hear us talk, apparently. My has to still pack for the coastline is sitting here going, hey, morality. I don't care. It's gray line. Let's just buzz through that. But no, everybody's like, good and evil. This world sucks right now. We need what's fucking good and evil. Let's go.
You can read morality. It's like 20 words. So if
see, I knew there was a reason my inner spirit was like, yeah, I bet 3. I haven't even looked at them. You guys know what I know, the title that the PDF displays. I literally have, I haven't even read. That's funny. Okay, so good and evil, I suppose. Nobody else is chiming up. That's why I never try to get the chat to talk, because, look, they don't.
They do, as long as you don't ask anything.
I know. And then it's like, shit, he's talking to me. You were fine until I spoke up. They're like kids in a class.
Don't break the 3rd wall, man. Don't break it.
It's called the 4th wall.
Oh, the 4th, sorry.
4th wall.
4th. Thank you. Learning.
You can have 3 on stage, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
The 4th wall. Okay.
I like it. I like breaking it. That's why we're here. Community. In case we don't say that enough. Okay, but we're going to go with 1 then. Rock and roll. Click it once. Good and evil. Okay, man. What are you leading us into here?
Very dangerous thoughts.
I bet. I fucking bet. All right, let me get my perspective proper for my voice clear for reading. So, okay, we're in PDF. So that's zoom. All right, now did you lie to me? No? Okay, he's got it at 1.5 pages, ladies and gentlemen. So not even. It's 1.25 pages. All right, cool.
I'm getting the quarter then.
you don't want to shut up. You can just read your own damn book. I mean, I don't know what I'm even doing here.
God damn, I was counting on you.
I can barely speak English, let alone write it. I need you to read it. All right. Good and evil are on the menu for this evening, courtesy of in-house author Ricardo Calvario. Have I got the stress right on the last name?
You have to
Calvario.
Yes, more likely. Yeah.
More likely. Give me, say it.
Calvario.
Calvario. Got it. Calvario. So our in-house author, Ricardo Calvario. Antonio Banderas.
I love how you say it so naturally.
Calvario. I'm going with that. Calvario. That is primo. That will fucking stick in their minds. In-house author Ricardo Calvario. Yes. Good and evil. Now, again, where's the disclaimer? Play my disclaimer voiceover. Do you have it? Because I don't know what's going to come out of your mouth, and I'm not sure I'm going to agree with your stance on good and evil. Now that I've heard about how you handle renters insurance, I'm not sure I want to take opinions from you, sir. You don't give mafia men money. They just are going to want more. And then before you know it, things are in your toilet that you didn't know were in your toilet.
I never gave mafia people money. They might have kept
Play
some
the disclaimer
of mine.
so we can talk freely. If you have it, it's more than appropriate probably with this territory. I see aliens. The word aliens is halfway down this thing. Okay, I see. Play the disclaimer. Ethnicity, race, faith. Look at these words, man. And you're already... This is a loaded page, boss man. Now you can't find the disclaimer.
Well, everybody, I'm not on my studio. How do I want to put the disclaimer?
Oh fuck! Sorry, my fault. Okay, so the following views and opinions are definitely belong to Ricardo Calvario and Jason Huffman, not the Institute of Natural Philosophy. Proceed.
Yeah.
Good and evil. Go ahead.
Either one way or the other, but not necessarily as stated.
I mean, that's the brunt of it. Is there's no blowback on anybody but
That's
us.
a thought-provoking exercise, not necessarily reflecting exactly my views. It's a thought process.
Okay. Fair enough. Touche. That's better. We are engaged in a thought process, audience. The following views and opinions expressed are simply a product of that thought process and do not determine final outcome or derivative factors thereof, our final stance on any given issue. How is that?
It's good. I don't remember that being in Good and Evil, but that's good.
No, that was just off the top of my head.
I know.
It's okay. Good and evil. Hamburglar, what's up, Mike? Good to see you, brother. Thank you for popping in, man.
And Tammy too, and
Yeah, I already said hello to all them. You can't Puss in Boots? Oh yeah, Antonio Banderas. All right, here we go. Good and evil. Something we all believe to understand. How could it be different? For we have been taught the difference since birth. Of course, we know what is righteous and what is not. However, I disagree. I see good and evil as a microcosmic bubble that is slave to its culture. Yeah, I'm not reading this. by by take
Breathe.
two.
Breathe.
By culture, I mean type of society, religious orientations, and see already, you're good. By culture, I mean type of society, religious orientations, and of course, the upbringing that each one of us has, placed in the same tuition program. We will have to do some English translation. Matriculation, I mean, tuition is what you pay to go to school. So that's not, that's like
Yeah, yeah. I meant education.
matriculation.
From the parents.
Yeah, matriculation. But either way, matriculation would be a fancy word that goes good there. To me, the rules of these societies are the core of each perspective of what is good and evil. Allow me a simple example. Most would consider the killing of another human being, no matter its age or social condition. However, it becomes a good thing when at war, where the humans on the other side are the evil that must be conquered. However, a simple crossing of the invisible landline that divides them would bring exactly the opposite notion. The good becomes bad and vice versa. Carry on, sir. I like the path you're traversing thus far. I will read more. For those still with me, this is at the very base of why good and evil are a matter of perception. No. But that's me saying no. I mean, that's what gutturally comes out. And again, a thought process, right? So Ricardo allows me to sort of do this, and that's why I do it, because I know there's people watching. So you can maybe see my sort of wait a minute. And then maybe he changes my mind, as he's done before, There's a reason I read his work, There's no real traps waiting. The result of following values that are universal, but only under that small bubble of influence. Good and when at war. I mean, you're right. When at war, the humans are. Monty Python said it best. Section 4, war or killing each other. It's how stupid of Yeah, we'll get there, I'm sure. Good and evil are not something we can establish outside of our construct, for there will be other constructs that may think otherwise. We have seen the individual level, so let's go up into the global notion of good and evil of a planet. Consider the population, the possibility of alien invasion. One motivated by despair, either they get the earth or they will perish. I believe you are already seeing my point. The aliens' intentions were very evil from the perspective of Earth, but not from theirs. History has shown us these differences time and again. So again, it's the war analogy that's working here, and it is true, and that silliness we participate in. Ethnicity, race, faith, wealth, all these were used to change the good and evil perspectives. That's straightforward, yep. To sum it up, all that is done with the intent to protect is considered good, be it to protect from hunger, weather, health, or any type of harm. And these operate at several levels, including personal or in each degree of collective, from regional to country to faith to planetary and so on. So, all of those threatening any of these points would be considered evil. The problem being that those on the opposite side will think exactly the same, but in an opposite direction. So, how can we understand the real meaning of the words good and evil? How can we escape the constraints of our culture in order to see what is good and what is evil? This is a hard riddle to solve, make no mistake, but one that can be answered. We must dive into our concept and realize that sometimes acts of evil have to be performed in order to do good. Not to mention that we often try to do good and end up making it worse, thus evil. Truth. I mean, truth. From my perspective, but we'll get into those in a minute. This is, however, not a green card saying that one can do whatever he likes and feels doing. On the contrary, it means we must turn back these concepts to their rawest of forms through either one manages to fence the world out. No, though either one manages to fence the world out, or it will soon be faced with many moral dilemmas. The most correct path, I will dare say, is the way of empathy, of placing oneself in that same situation. Yeah. With both the same rationale and emotional ability as the other or others. With this in mind, stretch it to the point it is no longer a solution, and only then try to place yourself in a controlling position by force. That's good stuff. A force that should not overtake the exact need at hand. Otherwise, you yourself are guilty of serving your ego, your reptilian brain, and thus occurring in evil acts. So to finish this opinion or statement about what good and evil are, I conclude by saying that good and evil are not equal to all. Therefore, instead of following others, the hive mind, one should always look deep inside and realize what is and isn't at every given time. Empathy, contrary to good and evil, can be universal and would serve much better as a rule. Do not do to others what you would not like seeing done to yourself and yours. Feel free to leave your comments below. Thank you for staying to the end. I bid you all a very fond farewell. You didn't have to put the last part. That was good. Audience, where are we at? I like that. I like that.
It's just that good and evil are a terrible measure for measuring our actions.
Yes, hardly on principle can I disagree with about anything you said, Ricardo. I mean, truly, because as always, you start a point and, then you lead somewhere that seems almost contrary to how you first began, But
because
yeah,
even an evil action, you have to understand what was the mentality behind that, what we consider to be an evil act, like a robbery, right? For instance.
It's true. I mean, it's true.
What motivated it? What took to that? Until you understand that, you can't judge what's really going on. Because it might be someone needing help, or it might be someone needing a jail.
This is true. I mean, but if you touch one of my underage daughters, I don't really care what your motivations are. I mean,
what good reason could have been behind that? What good reason?
Because he got mistreated. Sure, I understand the motivations, but that's not a pass.
But that's not a good reason.
No.
It's just an explanation, but it's not a good reason.
Right. So aren't there things that we universally can agree upon as being not accepted as what we call good?
That's what I said, and it's actually in the Bible, which
if we don't consider aliens, are there things that everybody in this chat, and everybody talking here could, nobody would balk at if you called evil or whatever word represented negative, right? Are there things that are universal, at least, amongst anybody you want to cohabitate on the planet with?
I think if you exclude, it's almost a joke, but if you exclude masochists. And what's the opposite?
The opposite of a person that enjoys joy? I don't know.
No, no, the opposite of masochist.
A masochist enjoys pain, right?
Yes, what's the opposite?
Enjoys pleasure? A
No,
debauched
the
individual?
name.
A
The name.
hedonist? A hedonist?
A sadist. Between, if
What's
you
the
accept,
difference?
if you no, the
Oh,
sadist
one
inflict-
takes pain and one
the
gives
oth-
pain. Okay.
Yes. So if you exclude those two,
I don't want pain. How about that? What's the word for not pain?
normal.
What? Well, no, I don't really know. Just no. I don't trust that word either at all, honestly, because that bends towards evil more than fucking any other word, really, that disguises itself as neutral.
I think if we
Wolves in sheep's clothing, those who set out to deceive, that's evil.
yeah, if we can, instead of keeping teaching good and evil as concepts, if instead of that we taught understanding, empathy, we didn't need good and evil. If we understand empathy, if we all learn empathy and act by it,
You're
if
an
we all-
idealist. Yeah, you're an idealist. I am too in my heart. I am. But I also got walked through reality, and it's harsh. And most people out there, bro, would rather hurt you than help
yeah.
you.
So the question is it evil to convert them to good, or should they be understood and let be?
I mean, I give them a wide berth until they get between me and my family, or me and what I love and cherish. And then, no, man, you gotta label it so you can handle it. There's a phrase. Hang on, what comes to mind? Here's how I'll give you that answer. Look things in the eye, right? Label them what they are and tremble not, right? Know them for what they are and tremble not. And that echoes to there are. And I'm just trying to put words on what we all would call these lines. If we're going to be a functional human being in a place, and where you're coming from is why I say idealist is, bro, where you're coming from is how we'd all want to live. I mean, I think we all pretty much agree that where you're coming from is the ideal, right? Is that everybody acts with empathy. It's such a powerful point. You bring up empathy, man. When I was first going through, learning to operate the way I now operate, right? The links I would go to try to understand people in any level of my life. I'm talking about nobody in here particular, right? But when I was being wronged, when I felt and I knew, like I was being wronged, and intentionally in many cases, right? But I went through, and call it shaman training, there's a very extensive process. Once you've dealt with you, right, you're now then learning to take those skills and look at other people with that same compassion, same everything you would learn to address yourself with, right, when you went through that process. So I was doing that, and again, for my own education and for my own, that's how I was going to start operating in the world, you know what I mean? So I was just doing it for me, and my point is, Ricardo, sooner or later, you get to a point with some individuals that, be it through choices of their past or that are now no longer, what's the saying? The song lyric is some moral slopes can't be unslid, that whatever, or it's through some mental, permanent sort of mental degradation or malfunction. We call it illness, right? Sooner or later, you get to a point where you realize those human beings are going to only ever act in self-interest, and generally in a outwardly harmful towards those not that aren't of their self-interest, right? That's what I'm kind of trying to say. So now, if I'm a dude who's had that reality and I need to function in this reality, then I've got to understand some lines, for my own safety and well-being and loving participation in this place. So that's the world we live. You know what you remind me of, bro? All right, here's what you remind me of. Me, before I went through all this shit. And here's how I told it to myself. And here's how Spirit, and God sort of like put this image, this experience in my head. I remember I was just in my driveway, and I was sitting there thinking about all this stuff. And I'd had a conversation with an individual, and he had pointed out, just a very simple fact. He's like, that most people out there don't think like you do or like I do, right? And that hit hard, and I was absorbing my experience. And here, Ricardo, is the image that came to me. I like World War II, right? And so I imagine there's this image in my head, because I studied at university, right? There's this image in my head. Imagine post-war France time period, right? Fucking 40s or whatever. You're there, and it's post-war, and you're just there to hold the peace, right? The enemy is gone. Maybe it's a year after the war, maybe it's two, whatever. It was the most peaceful sort of time period. And you got your cold beer, or maybe your glass of red wine, whatever Ricardo would have in that moment, studying the evening after keeping the peace all day, watching the sunset. And you're just there, knowing that you've done your part. You are keeping the peace. You've been a good soldier, right? But right then, as you're setting the beer or the wine down, fucking your sergeant, and it's Patton, and he comes running up to you, and he fucking kicks the chair out from under you, and you fall flat on your feet, and all of a sudden mortars start flying in, and he's looking at you going, "What the fuck are you doing? Incoming!" And you realize that it's not after the war. It's fucking D-Day, right?
So that means you can't finish the beer?
No, well, you can grab it and come with you, but it's not what you think, right? It's not what you think it is, this world, right? Because you're so ingrained in who you are, which is a decent person, a good person, one that believes in empathy, right? And then so you that's what I would call idealist in this world, right? To me, that's my heart, that's the way I operate too, right? But having seen this world, right, that I have to live in, right, is I have to have some lines where I can go, maybe it's not good and evil, maybe there's other words, but where we go, that right there cannot be part of anything that succeeds long term. So we have to have a word. How's that? Run.
Yeah.
Take it.
Well, there is True Seer, I think, talked about intent. Intent, as it is written, is very dangerous, because we are all filled with good intentions, be it to ourselves or to others, right? So intent is a dangerous thing. Like the elves say in Tolkien, a council is a dangerous thing. And I think it stays on the same, because the intent is like a council. It's dangerous. And the second point is, Rui is saying, what is the empathy to a person that rapes a young girl? Well, you are only thinking that I will use empathy to the raper. I will have to use empathy to the victim.
Yes.
And the empathy to the raper is understanding that for his own good and everybody else,
you have to have empathy for all future victims.
He
right.
should be placed in a situation that he can't do that ever again. Now, I have long discussions about this, including with Jacqueline. That is, I'm not a supporter of the death penalty for a simple reason. Because if you kill a person that committed a crime, be it against you or against someone else, you are taking the responsibility, taking the chance of healing, and taking the chance of suffering for as long as that person lives. Right. Because there is no other way for that person to understand. Many of them will never understand what they did. But anyway, they should live a life whose their pains and toils should reflect what they cause. If you kill them, it's an easy out. It's done. They could care less for who lives and dies, and you just give them a way out. Yeah. Oh yes, he experienced fear in the 5 minutes of his life. It doesn't count, right? It doesn't count. That person should be breaking stone every single day. He should wake up and the stone is there again for him to break for 8 hours a day.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. I don't find argument there.
Either he assumes his guilt and assumes the stone as the expiation of his dons, or he will suffer having to break the stone every single day. It doesn't, to me, I don't care for either, because there I'm applying empathy to both sides.
Yeah, there's not much argument there. If somebody was, as most of our viewers might be, coming at it from the perspective of somebody in modern America whose prison system has been hijacked and turned into a private affair, where, let alone the people that are put in are all for the wrong reasons. It's a mess. So it's hard to kind of go, I agree with the prison. But when you describe something much more like the Russian gulag, where the weather is harsh and there's nobody around for 10,000 miles, you can't escape alive, and you just have to be there now every day in this place and
Yes,
face the consequences of your choices, that actually seems pretty reasonable.
I think so, because if
Yeah.
you end that person's life, what does the victims get out of it? Nothing. What does the guy that committed the crime out of it? Nothing.
Yeah, I
Right?
mean, the main source of empathy is all because what we're talking about is not something that's usually just a fucking one off, right? You're talking about something that we've learned in our society predicates all kinds of other behavior and certainly predicates future behavior, right? So you're talking about permanently removing the capacity of these individuals to in any way
Completely.
participate
Completely.
in society and therefore hurt anyone ever. And in theory, that's ideal, I would probably say, because life and death, I don't believe are powers that are in our hands.
No, we
You know,
shouldn't
I
decide that.
yeah, I don't. I'm pretty firm. My experience. Trust me, Ricardo. My life would be so much easier if I thought different. I'll just say that, bro.
Sure, I
My
believe it.
life would be so
But
much easier.
again, let me invoke talking again, because it's many that live deserve death, and
That's
many
it.
that
It's
die
not.
deserve life. Can you
It's
give
the
it to them? We
cardinal. It's
can't.
the. What were we talking about today? Today, Sarah kept going to the game
Sarah
illusion.
said, staple their nipples to to their knees and make
Yeah.
them sit ups.
Yeah, you don't. I see. My version of what happens to these particular offenders is a little rougher than Ricardo's, but I envisioned like cages, right? Okay, so imagine cages like about the size these boxes we're in, like 3 foot by 2 foot, whatever, 4 foot, just enough for a person to be sort of down there in it, right? But now then imagine those cages stacked on top of each other, like ad infinitum, like just as high as you could, and then just as far back as you could. And then in each one of those
Like
cages
in
was,
pawn shop, that they are
uh,
doing number ones and number twos from the top down.
yeah, basically like an Indiana Jones, or something when he looks in the vaults at the end, where the ark was. Remember how it just went on forever, right? It was like that. And then imagine that each one had, I don't know, some terribly dull, rusty instrument, like a spoon, or something that was jagged, or a rusty rock, just something that was just barely an instrument that you could cut flesh with, right? And then, being as one who believes that this is not the permanent reality, right? I believe there's another reality they'd wake up to when they leave here, right? And so perhaps don't even feed them, maybe just enough so you're not killing them because, again, you got to keep them alive, right? Leave them the choice. And then have spirit, like, manifest a little miracle and pipe in the sounds of where they were going to wake up when they took their own life. And then just leave them in those piles of cages to infinity to sort it out themselves.
No, I can't
If I
agree
let my
more.
emotion talk, that's what I think about people that harm innocents, intentionally. Because see, Ricardo, once you harm an innocence, a lot of times there's no coming back for that from that innocence in this lifetime, and that's
Yeah,
that's a pretty
but
weighty offense in
the
my book.
problem is to find out what can break the psychopath. That's the
Oh, I
point,
don't want to break
right?
it. I don't want to change it. I want it to
Yeah,
not have to do anything but suffer until it moves on to whatever God has for it. Right? That's all I care about.
yes. Well, I,
Because Ricardo, it's got no place here.
I disagree. I think they should be at least attempt to be broken, because what these
so
people,
you really want to try to break their spirit.
because what these
For what
people are,
effect? For what
especially
effect?
predators, is that they think they are on top of the food chain. They think
Right.
that they have the right. So it's exactly as on in Cloud Atlas. It's the weak are meat and the strong do eat, right? That's the policy, right? So these people need to be placed in a situation where they have no control whatsoever upon their lives.
I see what you want to
Nothing.
do. You want to do what God's going to do after they leave this body. From my perspective, right? So
It's too
because I'm
late. It's
agreeing,
too late.
but you're trying to make that happen in this lifetime. I see where you're coming from.
Yes,
I'm just
because
understanding as
otherwise,
we yeah.
even if I believed in reincarnation, right? I'm they must be
I do.
broken here because they'll come back and they'll do the same.
No. See, that's the thing. You're again. You're sort of like it's now again. Just me and you talking. It's sort of like taking the power of life and death in your hands. Now you agree staunchly that that's not one of ours, right? That's sort of
Yes.
a line where you're like, no. In this ideal society, that's not within our power. That's part of creator, code writer, whatever everybody's word is for that. Okay. Now keep going because keep going.
So
Sorry.
my point is, even when they get injured, they should get medical treatment, but their toil should not be diminished in any shape or form.
All right, look, when they come back, okay, now, again, premise reincarnation, okay, because you used the word, okay, so
Yes.
I'm going to use that as sort of a baseline premise to let's jump into some spiritual talk for a sec. Okay, so reincarnation, right? All right. Reincarnation then, as part of a natural or cosmic law, just as that of the quantum physics, what have you, okay, if it functions as such, then Ricardo, that means that when the particular soul, the offender, whatever we're talking here, right, this negative person who you're trying to rehabilitate, right? Okay,
No, not rehabilitate.
or make what you're
Break their,
describing,
break their
break
spirit.
their spirit. Okay.
They need to
When
become
they
to get down from prey from predator to prey. No control over their lives.
I really don't have a problem with it. I just think it's going to cost us a lot of money that would probably be better spent elsewhere.
But you
That's all I'm
can't
saying.
kill them and you can't starve them, right?
Well, you could feed them minimal stuff in a cage somewhere, and then sooner or later they'll decide they don't want to be here.
Yeah, well, it
And
would be
then they're in
funny.
God's hands by their own hands, right?
Yeah, it would be funny to dress them as a female gorilla and fit them in the cage with a gigantic gorilla
Well,
on heat. Yes,
so
I
what do you-
understand.
okay,
But-
so we have to have an investment in breaking their spirit, is what you're trying to convince me of. All right, listen, Christos, we got a new job for you. We need a recruitment effort into some people that want to live in the wilderness and somehow mind break some psychopaths for us. Ricardo's saying it's got to happen. He won't let me talk him out of it. I think the cages that they'd eventually want to leave by their own hand are just as efficient. But all right, we gotta set up a Shangri-La. What are we gonna call it, man? What are we gonna call it for all the reformees? We're gonna
Well, the
torture
problem
into-
is, as you said, all of this is idealistic because you can't do that.
You're right. No, you can't.
Right?
No, you can't. You can't. So what do you do?
Well, if it is to your own,
Author. I mean, I'm glad
If-
to have you here, but what do we do now with good and evil then?
if it happens to you or me in our own grounds, then I
Okay.
think first start breaking the legs so they don't run away,
Okay.
and then go slowly from there,
Okay.
right? But if it is a judicial system, these people, I think, death penalty is an escape from what they did,
It's true.
Right?
It's true. It's true.
and the way
But-
they are treated is not in conformity to what they did, because locking them
No.
up in a prison when they can keep being prisoners and they can keep being predators to others,
Right.
right? is also not a choice,
You're right.
right? So,
You're right.
first point that led to the mess we are today is that worldwide, in first world countries, they decided to end and close asylums, right?
Okay.
And what happens when after the asylums got closed? We got all kinds of crazy people out there, right? People that don't know their gender, people that don't know what other people's ages are in order to
Yes.
have contacts with them.
Yes.
We have people with serious psychosis, people
Those
with
people are judges and stuff.
that are
in this, man.
schizophrenia,
Crazy.
if that's the name in English. You have people with mental disorders that are living life as normal people.
Yeah.
And one day they
They're
don't take
everywhere.
their medication and they kill someone.
Yeah. Yeah. They're everywhere.
Right? So
It's
the
been my
first thing is reopen the goddamn asylums and let's put these people all back where they belong under medical treatment. I'm not saying giving them shock therapy. I'm just saying try to treat those that are treatable.
Hamburglar and True Seer. Okay, you're nominated to head up the department here of how we're going to handle the asylum space. I trust you too with that. It sounds like we've got to, in our little community, we're going to have a loony bin. I default to Tommy Tiernan, the Irish comedian, when it came to the loony bin. He said, in Ireland, we didn't lock the crazy people up. We just let them fucking run about. They'd come into town every once in a while. They'd ask for a sandwich with the crusts cut off. You'd give them the sandwich. They'd go back and sleep in a tree with the sheep.
Let me read you this. I have to zoom in it like you do.
But they weren't trying to assail our life, liberty,
Sure,
and
of
our
course.
young people. Yeah.
Morality on its own, it's nothing.
Epstein's Asylum. Okay, got it.
Let me start. Morality on its own, it's nothing. Just an empty frame. Without culture or religion to shape it, it holds no substance. Each person's sense of right and wrong is a mirror of their lived experience, filtered through the myths, fears, and values of the culture they were born into. There is no universal morality, and 1,000 reflections of the world, each bound, only 1,000 reflections of the world, each bound by the language that named it and by the gods that rule it. So this was the morality that you have in there. And I think this summarizes pretty well what we're talking about. We can't even agree when we have 5 people in the room. We can't agree if we put the entire population
I think the
on.
chat pretty much agrees that, some things are evil. I mean, I think there are universals. That's the only pushback you get from me. I mean, I let you talk me through how you treat an ultimate offender. And I could find no real moral fault in it, which is what you're known for, and why we talk so much. But however, I do, at least in my own experience, veer towards our chat's understanding that there's some shit that's just not allowed around, and if it tries to forcibly come around, then But again, life and death, guys, I operate by invoking God to precisely demonstrate his reality to me, right? And I did that enough that I could see that when you expect it and when you operate as you're supposed to operate as a human being in relation with that all-knowing consciousness, right, then you can indeed start to understand and see a force at work that will handle justice as you might have conceived it in your ego, right, and that there is a universal handling of these things. Now, that has been only my personal experience, and that's not been on a large scale. I'm talking about when you're operating day to day, right? We're not talking about these type crimes that obviously need redress of some sort.
But the power of justice was taken from the people. And that increased crime dramatically. Well, I know that in America...
We're in such an upside-down situation where crime's been increased intentionally, and the wrong people are in there, and the right people... It's out here, it's so...
If somebody comes to my land and tries to rob it or mistreat any of us, and I lose it, and I do something to them that can be from a punch to killing someone,
Yeah.
I'm going to jail because I cannot touch the assailant. I cannot touch
Right.
him. By
Right.
law, in my house, in my land, I cannot touch the assailant.
And that's what we call ass backwards or
How
bass
do,
backwards.
how the fuck does that work? Am I
It
supposed to
doesn't.
stand and watch him do whatever he wants to do?
No,
Right?
you're not.
You can't touch them. While I remember that 50, 60 years ago in this same community, there was no crime whatsoever. Because if
Right.
they caught someone committing a crime, it's not one guy that was against him. The whole community would get pitchforks and sticks, and that guy will have a very rough time.
They weren't allowed to establish and take root, were they, Ricardo?
And so they learned, well, maybe this is not the best place for me to be kidding around.
Right.
And so there wasn't crime, there was respect.
Right.
Maybe a little bit too austere, but there was respect, right?
Right.
I remember when I was a kid entered into a grape farm just by the road to take a bunch of grapes, and he was killed by a shotgun because he was stealing the grapes. There are
Yeah.
extremes that were fed by this culture, right?
Right.
We lost the vision of good and evil again.
That's the thing. I mean, that's what I try to stay conscious of the reality we're in, and I play that different sort of role in these conversations for the sake of the audience, right? But man, when we get down to talking functionally about the community we would like to live in, we would like our children to live in, right? Then these are the talking points we want, right? The power of empathy. We all know the golden rule, right? But making these things real, as I touched on earlier, directing empathy, and you touched on in your writing, towards even those that you feel are harming you, right? Forces you to understand so much more, and you're gaining lessons, and perhaps you learn that that saying in the Bible where it says judge not, or as you said, you wouldn't see one to see visited on you. Sometimes there are things that you can't quite empathize with, and perhaps
Of
there
course.
you find in your own mind where your moral line is, and as we did earlier with the couple of issues that
Look,
any father or basically human being should trigger on.
this is what I always taught to my daughters since preschool. The day that someone lays a hand on
Yeah.
either you or your sister, never use your hands. Pick up the next thing you have, a chair, a stick, anything you can grab, and break his arm, break his head, send him to the hospital, and I'll go there and say, I told you to do that. Because they will never mess with you again.
It's true.
And
It's
they
true.
never did. Right? Because if you show these people that you are crazy, they won't go to you again. Because
true.
there's a lot of small fish to catch. Let's not touch that one. Right? So
Yeah.
go crazy. Pick up a chair and break the fucking chair on his back.
If that's what the moment calls for, if that's what the moment calls for. I like somebody in the chat pointed out, and you did in your writing is so
And
well.
that's giving the
is
other
that
face to me.
It's about being present in each moment, right? And the word I will use is present in each moment with God, and that goes to a point that True you just made in the chat. My chat's jumpy. I can't get everybody pulled up here, but okay. Yeah, I don't know why that's not working.
Yeah, some people are invoking karma. Karma comes too late sometimes.
Look,
That's too late.
yeah, it's a line, right? There's a line between when you're in that moment, right? When you're in that moment, if you're paying attention, there is that line you're walking between, and you broke it down in your writing pretty well, of when is your bar of when you decide that taking action is not going to mess up. In my view, I would say what God's doing, right? Or you would say, how you worded it, but it was that same point of, and that's what we've been waffling about for an hour, is where is that line where you go, okay, here, cosmic justice or God's law versus man's law requires action of man, right? And see, that's one distinction. That's the words I use, right? When we're talking about all these your silly laws and you were describing, is that's where I'm at is I've got what I call law of man, right? And you got law of God. Right. And there's one you can operate under. And when you operate under it and you're invoking that and you're expecting that and you're framing everything that way. Right. then you can start to see it. You can start to see it working. It's been my only experience. Now,
You know
that's still. Go ahead.
that law of God has been used and rarely for what you are describing.
Well, see, here's the thing. My experience under the law of man has been so backwards and was so inverted, like against me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I got walked through that, and I suffered a great deal, right? I learned that, but the story is not over, right? And when you're aware that your life arc is a life arc, it is indeed that, and you're willing to walk through it one day, one moment at a time as your life arc, right? It's just different, and that's where we agree like so much, is that functionally we're talking about the same things. Your words fit with my words that I just put forth, even though they sound so very different, right? It still to me is the same way of understanding how to operate in this three-dimensional environment we are all sharing together, right? That's sort of the language we're trying to understand and operate on and exhibit, I guess, how to do that in these nice conversations.
If you look into a bully, except those that are really psychopaths and sick, a bully normally is someone that is afraid. And so he needs to express himself in a way that contradicts his own fears by seeing that he's capable of making others suffer or feel inferior to himself when he is the one that feels inferior. So empathy towards a bully is exactly to show him that he's just a regular Joe, like everybody, like all of us going through this life. You're not upper, you're not down. And sometimes that needs some radical attitudes to show him.
Sometimes that needs a little exclamation point after it.
And that's an empathic action, is just trying to bring the person to reason, right?
I like the way you that's exactly what it is. It is an empathic action. Sometimes when you respond to that bully with, first of all, stop hitting people. Okay, sit still. Now, here's what you're doing. Yeah, sure. It's an empathic action.
You can show him, this is what you've been doing to others. And then you can tell him, see, and this is what I'm doing to you, that is trying to understand you and heal you.
I'm hitting and talking to you. Do you understand that most people just want to hit you? Okay. Do we have that understanding? Okay.
I'm kind of kidding, but these people
I'm
need.
Not. That sounds very reasonable.
We need to be empathic to a point, and that's why I write that once it's seen that empathic behavior doesn't solve, just act dramatically and definitely.
If you're in the moment, man, and you're letting this empathy and this what you could call love sort of guide you, then there is no, I can't sit here and tell you, one time that action might be requiring you to hit somebody. One time that action might be requiring you to hug somebody. There's that's where he's going, and that's what I'm on board with, is that if you're walking, my words, in that moment with yourself, with God, you've oriented with your higher consciousness, whatever your words are, right? And one day at a time, then you're going to veer. You're gonna just keep veering.
That's why people keep telling me, you're a man, right? And people don't understand what I'm saying. I don't understand what that means, being a man. And why don't you understand? Because every time I see a guy saying that he's behaving like a man, he's being an asshole.
It's supposed to be. What's it supposed to be? Is the commonality, the Homo sapien. The if you approach me as I want to approach you, it's the word we're looking for in this equal relationship. The empathy rule requires, right? Is that I am no more or less than you. So when you say I'm a man, you're a man, you're trying to invoke that, right? Like, you're not your title, you're not what you went to school to study, you're not any of that shit. You are a man, and so am I. And as long as we both are on that footing, then you can tell me all about the things that you know and think about this place, and I can tell you all the things I think and know about this place. And somewhere in the middle, we start to begin to find identities, things we identify with each other. And that's what we're trying to achieve. That's what we're talking about. And the word is man.
Like in Lebowski, what makes a man? Isn't it the will to do the right thing no matter what? Yes, that and a pair of testicles. Well, not today, but today the pair of testicles is not required for you to be a man, which is strange, but it isn't.
Phone's ringing, dude. Thank you, Donnie. Phone's still ringing, dude. I know, Donnie.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
that's
that. Okay.
Aren't you gonna
pick that up?
Aren't you gonna answer, dude? Not now, Donnie. Thank you, man.
The point is, we all can get a toenail with polish by 2:00 in the afternoon.
Which color do you like? I went with black or yellow when my girls wanted to paint.
There's
mine.
ways, man. You don't want to know. There's ways.
Yeah.
So we are all placed in a position of lambs, right? But that's just what they want us to believe, right?
Right.
Because either we are all lambs or we are all wolves.
Well, in my experience, well, here's a saying I like. Okay, so the evil ones the evil ones clothe wolves in sheep's clothing, but God clothes lions inside of lambs. You know, that's I like that way of looking at it. You know, because you approach everything as a lamb, right? Because that's that empathy, that's that love, right? That's what that lamb represents, right? Is that service to others, that complete innocent, love. That's that approach. So yes, you want to be that lamb, right? But you're also here. And what happens when you run into one of those wolves in lamb's clothing? Well, it's really fucking handy to be able to just go, oh, I'm a lion hog, and there the wolf's gone.
There was this story of the tiger on the jungle filing his nails on top of a tree. And so the animals coming by and say, oh, tiger, what are you doing? Today is the day. Today you're gonna see who the real king of the jungle is, right? And each animal that passes and asks, what are you doing? And it says the same thing, filing. Till finally the lion passed by and says, so tiger, what are you doing? Oh, just silly things, you know me. So
That's pretty good one. That's pretty good one.
So it's just a matter of
I was thinking with the young bull and the old bull. That's where you put in my head. Have you heard that one? They're walking over a hill and they come across a field of heifers. And the little young new bull starts jumping up and down, and he says to the old bull, he says, "Oh, I'm gonna run down there and I'm gonna get one of them. I'm gonna fuck one of those heifers, right?" The old bull just shakes his head and says, No, we're not. Why not? Why not? Come on. No, we're not. Why not? We're going to walk down there and we're going to get all of them.
just join the herd. Don't scare it.
Don't trust me. Just fucking chill out. Why
just
are you
be
in a
cool.
hurry
Just
to
be
get
cool.
one, man. We can just
look like you belong.
Waltz on down there and have them all wrapped up before too terribly long. Thank you, audience, everybody. I've tried to be pretty good with the chat. I see you all sticking in here. Thank you very much.
I think
Amy,
they're discussing it more than we do, but
Sarah, Rubate, Hamburglar, that's Mike. Welcome, Mike. Jacqueline J. Quills, Scribed, Jehuti, Thoth / Matt. Whatever. Don't forget that Thoth. He's known for these tricks. True Seer, we already did you. That's everybody. Thank you guys for coming to hang out. We will be back. Probably not tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's travel day, but it's also supposed to be like terrible weather. So maybe we'll stay in touch, Ricardo.
Yeah, as usual, we have a very predictable schedule.
Yeah.
We appear exactly when we do.
Well, we're going to carry this on. What we just did with your little one-page writing was Stardust on the Shaman and the Philosopher sometime between now and Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll just see how it goes, maybe tomorrow. But we'll let you guys know ahead of time because this guy will be generating the link. So as soon as we decide, he can get you a good heads up. All right.
And if you knew your credentials, I could even open it on your studio.
I sent you the screenshot. It just says Apple ID, and it's like because I messed up and I, signed in with Apple because it's easier, right? But now Riverside is like, but what? And I'm like, send it to my email. And they're like, I enter my email that they say is my registered email. And they're like, but that's not your email. And then I go, but what is my email you have? And they show me, and it's like 80 numbers plus Apple. And I'm like, that's,
Hey, dude, you only have one Apple, okay? So you can't link from anywhere else.
but my email you have is the email from Apple. So that's where I'm at. And Sarah said I just have to call support. So I don't know. But I tried.
It's like going, help.
Help.
Well, we're going to get it to you, though, because I feel when we get going on these, conversations, chat's important. And I like to make sure we're monitoring that and keeping that out for everybody. And we're at an hour and a half mark, and we had a wonderful conversation, a fun hangout before we hit the unknown territory of the next week as I take off with my girls and as you prepare to travel internationally yet again.
In a week.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'll be off traveling with the girls this week, and you'll be preparing this week to get your ass on the right side of the ocean.
You know me, I'll prepare on Sunday, but
Yeah. That's how I know we're going to be able to travel together. Plans are not friend of when you're trying to orchestrate your life around.
If you make
God.
plans,
My term is not.
if you make plans, where do you fit synchronicity? Where do you fit instinct?
How do you make God laugh?
Yeah.
Tell him your plans. Good night, everybody.
Good night. With that bombshell.
It's the truth.